welcome to the last Coleman On Purpose of 2022. Not the last Coleman On Purpose, but the last Coleman On Purpose of 2022. I was debating if I wanted to do an end of the year show, but as December kept going on, I was like, okay, yeah, I can do 3 episodes this month. That'll be cool. So I decided to get on here and do a very special kind of upbeat episode. I know a lot of this year has been full of telling my story, and many of you have enjoyed me just expressing or telling my story from all the chapters and everything like that. And you've gotten to get like a piece of me in each and every chapter. And I thank you for hanging with me. For the people that have reached out and told me that they've enjoyed listening to my story or the guests that I brought on this year. I really appreciate it. Every bit of support helps. So if you are watching, if you're a constant watcher, go ahead and let people know that you watch or listen to Coleman On Purpose. Share it with friends, share it with family members. If a specific episode reached out to you, share it with someone else who might want to hear it along the way. There's always reason and purpose behind everything that I do on these shows. And today is no different. Even though it's a funner or it's a more upbeat, more fun episode, it still has purpose. There's reason behind everything I do. So let's jump right into today's topic. And if you are watching this from YouTube or watching this in the live form, I decided to put this special episode on live form because I had to show like my whole setup here. If you're looking in front of me right now, I have a setup of Wiz memorabilia in front of me, and I'm going to explain like each and every one throughout the course of me talking about this. The Wiz. So it all started just about a week ago, about a week and a half ago, where I was just going to get some food. I was traveling out to go get some food. It's a place called Londa's. It's a place right up here in Charlotte. If you have never had Londa's, it is one of the best soul food restaurants to me that we have here in Charlotte. It's a little hidden gem that is right off of 485. I know a lot of you are not from, the Charlotte area, but if you are, check out Londa's. When you go inside, it kind of looks like, it reminds me of like a church fellowship hall. When you like walk in, it gives you that like church vibe because everybody's back there like cooking. Very nice. I've met Londa. I think her name is Yolanda, but I've met her and she's so very nice and just takes your order and then they come and bring it to you and they got the church music playing and it just gives you this wonderful vibe and the food is magnificent. So I was in there getting my food and I get a little text on my phone, and it's from one of my friends that you have met on the previous episode that was on here. And Kevin hit me up and it was something about the Wiz. And so this is what was read when I saw it on my phone. It says, "The Wiz sets 2024 Broadway return with new material by Amber Ruffin." So right away when I see the headline, I am like, my eyes perk up. I'm getting all excited. And then something flashes back in my mind. I'm like, oh my, this is like a joke. Like I've seen a lot of people like joke about this saying it's going to come back. This must be an old article, because they've talked about this before. So it has to be an old article. So I look at the date and it says December 1st, 2022, 8:15 a.m. And this is from Deadline. Deadline is the real deal. So I keep reading and I'm like, it says the beloved musical The Wiz will return to Broadway next season in an entirely reimagined revival directed by Shel Williams and featuring additional material by Amber Ruffin. The production will launch a national tour in the fall of 2023 in Baltimore, where the original musical premiered in 1974 and will play in cities across the country before beginning a limited engagement on Broadway in spring of 2024. So listen to me. When I hear this news, when this news comes to my eyeballs, I start going insane. Like, the person that was with me was like, "Are you okay?" I was so geeked. You guys don't know how much I love The Wiz. Hands down, The Wiz is the best musical ever made in my eyes. Now take this as my opinion. I say The Wiz is the best musical of all times. I don't care where it came from or what adaptation it came from. If it came from The Wizard of Oz. Yes, it did come from The Wizard of Oz. But The Wiz is my favorite musical, and I'm going to let you know why in here and just why this is so exciting and so monumental. I had been sitting down talking about a Wiz revival probably since like 2005 or 2004. Yeah, recently. I talked about it years and years and years ago, and I've been talking about it years and years and years after. I even did like videos about it. I think I have a YouTube video where I talk about The Wiz and how it needs to come back. But I want to take you back on a story about how I started to love The Wiz. So the first time I heard The Wiz, it was from a record that my mother had bought from a local CBS radio station that she worked at in St. Louis. And she used to bring home numerous CDs or vinyls at that time. We didn't have CDs, but vinyls at that time because my dad had this old record player that was in his like little office. So I remember her bringing back The Wiz one day, and I played that vinyl till the scratches, till it skipped, and you could no longer even play it. And I don't even know where that vinyl is. Probably threw it away because it was so scratched up, but that is on my bucket list. So if you are listening to this podcast right now, this is a request. I've been looking on eBay trying to find this vinyl again. I have the CD of The Wiz Broadway version, but I want the Broadway version of The Wiz. If you're looking at the picture, I want that vinyl in good condition. It can't be scratched up. It can't be messed up. I'm a vinyl collector now. So like I want The Wiz vinyl. I have Pearly on the Broadway version on vinyl, but I want The Wiz in good condition. That is one of my hopes that I get someday, or I'll just purchase it if I see it somewhere, but they don't even make it anymore. So I can remember wearing that vinyl out and trying to get my hands on a Broadway version again later on. And I just remember watching the regular version of the movie way back in the day, after finding out that there was a movie about that vinyl that I had listened to and played out. So I didn't see the movie before I listened to the music. So I fell in love with the music before I even watched the movie. It's kind of like when you read a book. You see a movie, a book, or a movie of a book, and you're like, well, I want to read the book first and then see the movie. That's how I feel about music. I want to hear the music first and then see the movie. I used to do that with movie soundtracks all the time back in the day. So before a movie came out, the soundtrack would come out like a week before. So like when The Bodyguard came out or other movies, I would always listen to the soundtrack and then go watch the movie. Cause you want to get involved with like what you're hearing in the movie and stuff like that. So you'll be like, oh, I remember that from the soundtrack. That's how I am with music. So I remember going, like always when my mom, like we would go back to this store called Schnucks in St. Louis. And you guys, if you're from St. Louis, you know what Schnucks is. It's a grocery store there. And they had a video section of Schnucks where you could actually rent VCRs. You did not buy VCRs back then. You rented VCRs. Can you imagine that if we like rented out DVD players nowadays or something like that? We rent VCRs and you would take them home, you'd rent them for a day and then bring them back and you would rent a movie to go with them. And so I remember either I rented All Dogs Go to Heaven because that was one of the first movies I saw in the movie theater, or I would rent The Wiz. Those were the two I always looked for. So if they didn't have The Wiz, I got All Dogs Go to Heaven. If they didn't have All Dogs Go to Heaven, I would get The Wiz. Those are my two. Those are my go-to. And my family would rent something else that they wanted. But I used to always get that movie and watch it over and over and over. I don't really believe that my family even let me watch that because The Wiz, if you look on the back, I'm looking at the back of this video right here. It's actually rated G. In today's society, The Wiz wouldn't be like a G rating. It's a live film. It has the poppies dancing on. It's like a PG type movie, but nowadays maybe it is G. So maybe they did rate it correctly, but The Wiz is an excellent movie, so I'm so happy that I was able to watch it back then. And May I add real quick that I love The Wizard of Oz. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to discard the original version and where this came from or where this originated from and how this came about. But there is a certain flair and extraness to The Wiz that I just love. It just encaptures everything about just the blackness of what this story was and how it could have been, like her coming from a city and a real urban type town, and then just going to a far off place, because she was trying to escape life. It just it's so well put together. So finally, after I left St. Louis and got to Dayton, I became friends with Chris. Now Chris had a copy, because I still didn't have a VHS copy of The Wiz. I had a VCR at that time. We weren't renting VCRs anymore, but my friend Chris had a copy of The Wiz. I don't even think it had a cover to it. It was just the VHS tape itself of The Wiz. And I remember him letting me borrow that VHS tape. And I don't think I ever tried to give it back to him. I think he eventually asked for it back, but I never tried to give it back. I kept that VHS and I watched it just like I listened to that vinyl over and over and over and over and over. And finally I gave it back to him, and then he ended up giving it back to me as a present. Get this, I remember Chris, he gave it to me as a present for like my birthday or something like that, or Christmas, where he wrapped it up and everything, and it was just the VHS tape itself wrapped in paper, and he was like, "You can have this." I'm sure he probably gave it to me because BET was already playing out The Wiz on TV 24/7 at that point. Like that, they would always play The Wiz, so it figures that he would give that to me. But I cherished that so much. I don't even know where it is to this day. I'm sorry, Chris, that I lost that. Also, it's somewhere out in La La Land, but I ended up getting my own little DVD, which is sitting right here in front of the movie The Wiz, which I've watched many times. I know backwards and forwards. But I can remember in high school us, wanting to do The Wiz because I was in Broadway Exit and band and all that stuff, and we begged our Broadway Exit director to do like songs from The Wiz. I don't even know if we ended up like putting it, because we used to do like these recordings of songs that we did or extra songs. I'm not sure if anybody did The Wiz. I think Trotwood ended up doing it years later in like one of the show choirs or something like that, but we never got to do it. We were doing Grease and Jesus Christ Superstar. And go get this, we were a predominantly black school doing Grease and Jesus Christ Superstar. I'm not knocking those musicals, but I'm like, we could have done at least something else, to kind of mix it up in there. I'm sure years before, because I was only in the last 2 years, my junior and senior year, I was in Broadway Exit. So nevertheless, it did not go in vain. Like I did not leave high school without actually getting to see The Wiz, because a school named Colonel White, which is no longer around in Dayton, which I'm wearing my little repping my Dayton today, because The Wiz brings back memories of Dayton and St. Louis and all that stuff, because it's those were my homes. That's where I grew up. So The Wiz is that type of movie that's like hometown love and all of that stuff. So Colonel White put on a production of The Wiz while I was in high school. I remember it was my first time seeing the play live without watching it on a movie or just listening to the music. And when I tell you, that is a production, I don't remember everything about it, but I remember it being good. I remember that Colonel White production of The Wiz being really good, because Colonel White had those talented students there. It was a performing arts school, and I still wish it was around today, because I think it was Stivers and Colonel White were the two performing arts schools. And I just can't believe how great it was. I remember Miss Scott, one of the ladies that was my mom's friend, actually took me to go and see it. I think I was staying at their house for the weekend, and they were like, "You want to go see The Wiz?" And I was excited. But I just remember that performance being it just was great. Maybe it's just because I remember from back in the day, and it was just my first time seeing it, that it was so great, but it was really good. So shout out to the old Colonel White. Y'all did your thing on The Wiz. Whoever that was in that cast, y'all did y'all thing in that. And then I remember seeing it for the second time when I went to college. And I saw it a few more times in between college and now. I saw a few more performances of The Wiz, but I remember one was at a community theater in Trotwood. They did The Wiz, and they put on it was an excellent performance. They even included some of the things from the movie in that production. And then there was also a time I saw it at a high school, which I'm not going to name because I didn't really like the performance because it was kind of bad, but they did their best. It was a high school, but Colonel White did good, so they should have done well also, but it's okay. The Wiz is that type of show that it is good for high schools, I guess, and it's good for it could be good for college too, but I haven't found too many colleges doing The Wiz. It either is high school or community theater, which I've seen that done. And so The Wiz is a very hard show to do, like from the singing to the dancing to the choreography, the costumes. It's a very it takes a lot to really put on a good The Wiz performance. So I'm not going to knock that high school. They did what they did. I think I even did a video about that school doing it, and I think I said they did a good job. I might not have told the truth on that video. I was just trying to hype it up for YouTube. Anyway, it was interesting. Let me put it that way. It was special. It was unique. Let's put it that way. So later on, after seeing that, I began to want to see The Wiz more and more and more and more. And I ended up finding a show that I don't know if I was still living in Ohio at the time or if I drove down from, I forgot what year it was, but I drove down. I could just get this pamphlet that's sitting right over here. I basically drove down from, oh gosh, I just dropped the book. Anyway, I drove down from, it was 2015. So I was living in North Carolina at the time. I drove down to Cleveland, and I'm sorry, I'm trying to grab this book from over here because I dropped something. Anyway, I drove down from North Carolina to go and see The Wiz performance in Cleveland. And the Cleveland performance that they did at a place called the Karamu Theater was extremely amazing. I enjoyed every bit of this performance. They did a phenomenal job at putting on The Wiz. And I even think they included some of the things from Broadway and the movie with that one also, which I love that that's being incorporated. A lot of the movie elements in The Wiz are being incorporated into the newer versions or adaptations of The Wiz. So I just started to want to see The Wiz more and more and more and more. And years went by, and there had been sparks of a Wiz revival for a while. They had talked about doing another movie for a while. And then it just started to die away. It seems like The Wiz comes and goes, and then it just kind of dies away. But in 2015, also, there was or was it 2015? I think it may have been 2015. So this must have been just 2015 must have been just the year of the Wiz revivals. And NBC put on a Christmas performance. I think it might have been around Christmas where they do their live performances of The Wiz, which I have that on video also. And it was with Queen Latifah. It was with, they had Stephanie Mills came back to reprise a role for Auntie M, I believe. There was Neo in it. There was also David Allen Greer. It was a well put together and we can't forget Amber Riley. Oh my God. Amber Riley should have had a much, she should have been in some other, the way she sang down, sweet thing, let me tell you about the way and the way things I ride. She tore that song to shreds. If you ever go and watch the live performance of He's the Wizard, just do yourself a favor and go watch Amber Riley do He's the Wizard. At that end, when she belts that note out, I mean, I get just thinking about that performance. I kept rewinding. There's always a standout performance. All the NBCs, Kristen Chenoweth when she did Hairspray, there's always a great performance on the NBC, productions that they do. I don't think I watched Jesus Christ Superstar with John Legend, but I may go back and watch that at some point in time. Anyway, there's always great performances on NBC when they do it. But this one came and then it died down again. But guess what? Just recently, there was a Tony Awards opening that Ariana DeBose did this year in 2022, where she was naming all of these musicals that came out during the time. Like, she was naming musicals from the past, and The Wiz was included with one of those things. And so I started thinking to myself, I said, oh, so they have The Wiz in the opening. And I said, that means that something is coming. That means that Broadway is trying to pull it out of the vault right now. They're trying to pull something out. So I said, this is exciting. This is exciting. Something is coming. So here I am, full of joy, wondering, what is this production going to include if they were to come back out with, another The Wiz? Because I never got to see the original Broadway production. I am making it a goal of mine to go and see The Wiz on Broadway and see it at some of these cities that they're going to. I gotta see it. So whatever tickets they got out here, I need to see it. I mean, if you look at this, I just dropped something on the floor, but I have even the playbook that was sitting up here a minute ago. Excuse me, I'm trying to grab it from over here so you can see it. Anyway, there's a playbook that I have from the original script of The Wiz, and it is the whole entire play, music and all, that is included in that book. And I am telling you, that's how much I love the play. That's how much I love the play. I just wanted to capture and have the play in my hand so I can always have something where I can read the words to the play, read what's involved in the play. That's how much I love it. So let me quickly throw out some ideas for what this Wiz should include when it comes to Baltimore, New York, or all the cities it goes to. Let me throw out some ideas that they should definitely keep or take away from this version. First and foremost, So You Wanted to Meet the Wizard, the full version from the Broadway play, must be included in this play. That was in the original one. They took it out of the movie, which was a grave mistake because Richard Pryor was there, and I don't know if he wanted to sing that. But I need a vibrant soul like the Andre DeShields that played that character, which he's become a favorite person of mine, which I really didn't know who he was until I knew who he was because I saw it on the back of the vinyl, which I had back in the day, but I didn't really hear him speak and talk outside of that role. He is an amazing, amazing, amazing actor, or I'm not even sure if he is still living, but I hope he is. But if he is, amazing. He was amazing in The Wiz from the Broadway version that I listened to. So they need to either bring back somebody like him to play that character. And that's the character I always wanted to play, by the way, on Broadway. If I was ever to be like on Broadway or a stage play, that's the character I want to be, The Wiz. I have like old videos of me singing that song. I've used that song to audition before, but I always loved the song He's the Wizard, or not He's the Wizard, but So You Wanted to Meet the Wizard. So second, make sure that Stephanie Mills is involved in some way, shape, or form as maybe like Auntie M, and maybe she's in there in some shape or form. Stephanie Mills must be involved and write her a new song. I don't want her to just sing one song. I need her to sing two. She needs to sing two songs because Stephanie Mills still has an amazing voice. When she did that verses, unbelievable. Stephanie Mills is a gift, and she continues to impress me with her singing. So bring her back, and maybe like the limited engagement that y'all have on Broadway, y'all can pull Diana Ross in here, have both Stephanie Mills and Diana Ross both there. Have Diana play the Good Witch, have her come in at the very end and write her a special song too, because Diana got to do the diva thing. So we need 2 songs for Diana. I think there are 2 songs in the original version of the Wiz Broadway version. So we need 3 songs for Diana, 2 songs for 3 songs for Stephanie Mills too. Hock it up. Give Stephanie Mills 3 songs also. Let them both I just want a whole concert of both of them. The original Dorothy and the Dorothy runner-up, which was Diana Ross. She did her thing in the movie, but nothing beats Miss Stephanie Mills, the original. Period. Point blank. And third, please add the Emerald City sequence to the stage play. So I've seen that done in community productions. The stage play must include the Emerald City sequence from the original, from the movie, from the motion picture. That whole sequence with the dancing, you got to be seen. Green. Da-da, da-da. It got to be a whole fabulous section of that. That must be in the movie. It will work. I'm telling you. Put that in there. And also, lastly, let's have the Scarecrow do I Was Born the Day Before Yesterday, which was in the original Broadway version. And You Can't Win, the Michael Jackson version, must be included also. It's a necessity. Both the Tin Man and the Lion both have 2 songs. The Scarecrow needs his 2 songs also. And I think, I'm not sure if he did Born the Day Before Yesterday on the original movie, but I know You Can't Win was in there. Anyways, those need to be included with this. And also there need to be showstopper songs added to this. Like I said, Stephanie Mills needs a showstopper, put a Diana Ross showstopper, and also make sure the Arrested Body stays within that stage play, because that was a wonderful song. So I'm sure they're going to add new songs, new material. There's going to be new sequences and stuff. I'm just very excited. You guys don't know how much joy this brings me that The Wiz is actually coming back after years and years and years. It hasn't been on since I think it came out in the 70s when the original Wiz came to Broadway. It was like way back. And they need to know that when this Wiz comes back, whatever they do, they need to know that this is going to set the stage for what could happen in the future with The Wiz. Like, this Broadway version is what Hollywood is going to be looking at to see if we're ever going to get another movie version. Because I really do think, I'm not big on like movie remakes from the past. The Wiz is classic, the original version from the 70s, but I can definitely see a 4K, like Ultra HD, like a clear, beautiful graphics, everything, costumes, beautiful, like just a more updated version of The Wiz. I can see that happening. So if this does well and people see the pull for it, maybe we can bring Hollywood in and we can get a Wiz movie going in maybe like 2025, 26, have the Wiz movie. Just come back to this podcast and know that I was up here shouting out that there should be another Wiz movie very, very, very soon. And I think it would be fabulous. I think they should do it and make it just grand. Make that Wiz movie look good. So all I know is that I've always wanted to be a part of a production of The Wiz. That's always been a dream of mine. Over time, I stopped believing in myself, my talents, that I wasn't serious enough, and that others were better than me. I always had those thoughts. So it kept me from a lot of auditions, kept me from a lot of things. But all I know is I have to keep at the forefront that no one else can do what I do. Just like any one of you guys. No one else can do what you do. I definitely know I want God's will in my life. I hope that that's what you want for your life too. And if he wants me to just sit and enjoy what's to come with The Wiz, I will do that. But I will be at every opening. I will be at every show. I will be at every opening. Let me say I'm going to be at every opening show of The Wiz. Or you might have me be involved in some way, shape, or form with something in this realm. I don't care. Like, I just want to be, if I was just a tree standing on a stage for the Broadway production, I would be satisfied because I am in the element of something that I've always dreamed of and something that I've always loved. So I might just start putting out more Wiz material, like just Wiz skits, just because I'm so excited about what is to come. I'm so excited what the future holds for the Black theater. Like, what I'm seeing happen in Broadway right now is amazing. There used to just be little sprinkles of Black shows on Broadway back in the day, and now look how far it has come. Like shows like Pearly that people don't talk about some of those fabulous shows that happened. Timbuktu, I think that was another one. There were so many great shows that were out on Broadway that were kind of overlooked or weren't as pushed. So y'all get out here, go sell out these Broadway shows. Don't buy these tickets before I do, because I need to get my tickets first. But right after I get my tickets, I'll give you the go ahead and get your Broadway tickets or get your tickets to these shows. I need to be like in the front row or middle. I need to be somewhere in that room. So buy them after me and you're good. But let's sell these shows out. Let this Wiz thing start circulating, because that brings more attention to Black theater and the beauty of Black theater. And that That's what I love to see. I love all theater, but there is something about when there is a cast of people that have worked hard, that are sometimes overlooked, that are really the stars of the show, but a lot of times have to play the background in many things. I'm so glad that they're starting to bring that stuff back to the forefront. Make sure you guys are bringing yourself to the forefront in this new year. There are so many stories to be told. There are so many plays to be written. I could write the next blockbuster musical. It is possible. I am beginning in this new year to speak things with boldness, to speak things with truth, not just manifest, but bring those things to pass from the words that I speak. I guess that is a form of manifestation, but I'm bringing it forth from my words and what I believe that God has for me. And that's all I want to say. So if you can believe it, you can achieve it. I used to really look at that word. If you can believe it, you can achieve it. Like that was just some catchphrase. But now I know the true meaning to those words. If you can believe it, you surely can achieve it. Thank you all for joining me for this episode of Coleman On Purpose. This is a very special episode where I got to break down the whiz for you, and look how long I talked. That means that I really, really love what I'm talking about. This is like my passion. This is stuff I love. So if you've enjoyed episodes like this, let me know if you want to see more stuff like this where I go over some things that I love or review some things. I hope you have enjoyed this. Make sure you are following me on Instagram at DeluxeDave, DeluxeDave. I'm also on TikTok at David, DavidJ. Coleman. I'm also working on a new TikTok page also where you can go and see updates on Coleman On Purpose. It's just going to be Coleman On Purpose on TikTok, where I will post some of the clips from some of the previous shows and some of the future shows of Coleman On Purpose. Thank you for joining me. Remember, going into this new year, that you are unique, you are loved, and you are created for greatness. I will see you all in 2023.